What if I told you there's a ghost town hiding right at the edge of Las Vegas, a place that once buzzed with slot machines, neon lights, and cheap weekend getaways? You drive down I-15, the desert stretching endlessly. Then, three lonely casinos rise out of the sand like mirages: Buffalo Bill's, Whiskey Pete's, and Primm Valley. Their parking lots are half empty, their lights fading, their silence louder than any jackpot. For locals and travelers, this place used to feel like a hidden escape. Now, it feels like the end of an era. Today, we're uncovering what really happened in Primm, Nevada's deserted casinos, from the broken promises and bankrupt dreams to what's secretly keeping them alive, the town that time forgot. The reason for Primm's eerie silence goes back to what it used to be. In the 1990s, this dusty border stop was booming. Travelers leaving California couldn't resist the glow of Buffalo Bill's roller coaster, the Desperado, once one of the tallest in the world. Families stopped for cheap gas, low room rates, and slot machines that still paid in coins. Primm was built for impatience, for people who couldn't wait to hit Vegas. But as the years passed, those same drivers changed. The 2008 recession hit hard, gas prices soared, and the rise of online booking meant people skipped small stops. The outlet mall lost its shine, the casino floors thinned out, and soon the crowds disappeared. What's left today is a shell of that energy. Flickering lights, boarded gift shops, and a strange stillness that feels like the end of a long party. Buffalo Bill's fades to black. The fall of Buffalo Bill's tells the story of Primm in slow motion. When it opened in 1994, it was a spectacle. Fake canyon walls, a riverboat buffet, and that roaring Desperado coaster that twisted through the roof. It wasn't trying to be Vegas, it was its own strange attraction. But by the late 2000s, the crowds were gone. The roller coaster stopped running, the restaurants shut down, and the gaming floor went dark. After 31 years, regular operations ended. Now it only opens for concerts or big weekend events. Inside, time stopped. The carpets fade, the air smells of dust, and the slot machines sit unplugged under plastic sheets. Fans who sneak in for photos describe it as beautiful and sad, like a dream that never woke up. The neon bison still glows. At night, you can still see it from miles away, the giant neon bison glowing in red and gold above the highway. To anyone passing by, it looks alive, but pull into the parking lot, and the silence hits you first. The automatic doors are locked, the ticket counter's empty. Only the hum of electricity keeps the illusion breathing. Locals say it costs thousands each month just to keep that sign lit. It's a strange kind of performance, a ghost casino pretending it still matters. Truckers sometimes stop just to take photos, capturing the bright bison against the pitch-black desert. It feels like the last heartbeat of a building refusing to die, shining for no one but the memories of gamblers who once filled its floor. Whiskey Pete's last call. Whiskey Pete's was where it all started. Back in 1977, before the other resorts existed, this castle-shaped casino stood like a desert fortress welcoming drivers crossing from California. It had cheap tables, smoky air, and the kind of roadside charm that made it famous among truckers. The big draw was the Bonnie and Clyde death car, their bullet-riddled Ford, displayed behind glass near the lobby. People stopped just to see it, but in 2023, Whiskey Pete's went quiet. No grand farewell, no headlines, just doors locked and lights turned off. The death car was moved to another property, leaving behind empty showcases and dust. The few workers who stayed were reassigned to Primm Valley Resort, but most didn't return. The casino that built Primm simply faded without a sound. The lonely survivor, Primm Valley Resort. When Whiskey Pete's shut its doors, all attention turned to the last casino standing, Primm Valley Resort. On paper, it's still open. The lights are on, the hotel takes bookings, and the gaming floor hums softly. But walk through it, and you can feel how much space is missing. Half the rooms stay dark to save costs. The old buffet area sits empty, sealed behind black curtains. You can still hear faint music from the speakers, but it echoes through wide, quiet halls. This resort became the lifeboat for what's left of Primm. Management reopened the saloon, a single restaurant, and a small section of slots to keep life in the building. Guests call it half casino, half museum, a place alive only because the others are already gone. The back rooms of Nevada. Behind the glowing front desk and the soft casino lights, there's another side to Primm Valley Resort that most guests never see. Down long service corridors and locked doors, entire rooms are filled with old slot machines, chairs, and broken signage stacked to the ceiling. Some still have paper tags from the early 2000s, faded with age. The air feels heavy with dust and carpet glue, like walking into a forgotten time capsule. Employees say they're saving it all for future renovations, but few believe that future will come soon. These back rooms look more like storage for ghosts than assets. It's where Primm's history sits quietly, waiting for someone to decide whether it will ever matter again. And most days, no one even goes in. The Star of the Desert Arena. Right next to Buffalo Bills sits the Star of the Desert Arena, a massive 6,500-seat concert hall that once drew country stars, rodeo crowds, and boxing fans from all over Nevada. In the 2000s, it hosted names like Toby Keith and Reba McEntire, with fans spilling into the casino after every show. For a few hours, Primm felt like the old days, busy, loud, and full of energy. These days, the arena only opens a handful of times a year. When the lights turn on, locals call it a mini resurrection. The parking lot fills, the neon flickers back to life, and for one night, Primm feels awake again. But by sunrise, the cars are gone, the lights dim, and silence settles back over the empty desert once more. The Desperado roller coaster. When it first opened in 1994, the Desperado roller coaster was a legend. It wasn't just a casino attraction, it was a landmark. At over 200 feet tall, it dominated the skyline, visible for miles along Interstate 15. The first drop hit 90 miles an hour, and for years, it was among the fastest coasters on Earth. Families would stop in Primm just to ride it, their screams echoing through Buffalo Bill's Neon Canyon. Today, the track still loops through the casino's walls, sun-bleached and silent. The yellow paint has faded, and the trains sit motionless, gathering dust under the desert sun. Some say the ride could reopen, but the structure's too old now. It stands like a fossil, a reminder of when Primm still dreamed big. The Ghost of the Log Flume. Next to the silent Desperado, there used to be a smaller ride that added a splash of fun. Literally. The Adventure Canyon Log Flume wound through the side of Buffalo Bills, themed after the wild rivers of the Old West. It wasn't huge, but it was the kind of ride families loved in the summer heat. Riders floated past fake mining shacks and dusty rock scenes before plunging into a final drop that sent water flying into the dry Nevada air. It shut down more than 10 years ago. The water's gone, the trough's dismantled, and only faint outlines remain in the pavement. Some employees say parts of it are still stored behind the property, waiting for better days. But like everything else in Primm, those days never came. The Outlet Mall Mirage. Just across the parking lot from Primm Valley Resort sits what was once the town's biggest hope, the Primm Outlets. When it opened, this mall was meant to bring high-end shopping to the desert, with brands like Coach, Fendi, and Nike lining the halls. Weekends used to buzz with road trippers from Los Angeles, bags in hand, grabbing a bite before heading back on I-15. But by 2010, the foot traffic thinned. Online shopping hit hard, and by 2018, most storefronts were shuttered. Today, only a handful of small shops survive. A souvenir stand, a clearance store, a lonely vending machine humming in the corner. Murals on the outer walls still shimmer under the desert sun, but inside, the silence stretches so wide you can hear your own footsteps echo. COVID's final blow. When COVID hit in 2020, Primm didn't just slow down. It stopped completely. For months, every casino, hotel, and restaurant went dark. The roller coaster stood still under the empty desert sky. The few hundred employees who once kept the town alive were sent home, and many never came back. Some moved to Las Vegas, others crossed into California looking for steady work. By the time restrictions lifted, the damage was done. Machines broke down from disuse, carpets reeked of dust, and the air systems groaned from years without care. Management tried to restart the town, but the spark was gone. Rooms stayed empty, lights flickered weakly, and the life that once flowed through Primm never returned. It was like watching a ghost try to breathe again. The rise of tribal casinos. Even before the pandemic, Primm was already bleeding visitors, not because people stopped gambling, but because they no longer had to drive this far to do it. In the 2000s, California's tribal casinos exploded in size and scale. Resorts like Morongo, Pechanga, and Yaamava near San Bernardino offered Vegas-quality gaming, fine dining, and entertainment, all without the long drive to Nevada. For weekend gamblers from Los Angeles, that convenience changed everything. Traffic on Interstate 15 thinned, and the parking lots in Primm started looking emptier each year. The town's border town advantage vanished almost overnight. By the mid-2000s, it wasn't just losing money, it was losing purpose. What used to be the first taste of Nevada had become a forgotten exit most drivers sped past without even slowing down. The Bonnie and Clyde death car. The Bonnie and Clyde death car is one of the few reminders that Primm once had a story to tell. This original Ford 5.8, riddled with over 100 bullet holes, first arrived at Whiskey Pete's in the 1980s, a grim attraction for travelers passing through. When Whiskey Pete's closed, the car was moved to Buffalo Bills and later to Primm Valley Resort, making the rounds as the town around it quietly emptied. For visitors, it's chilling to stand next to the car and imagine the violence it witnessed. Yet it's also striking that this bullet-riddled relic has outlasted roller coasters, casinos, and restaurants. In a town fading fast, the death car remains one of the only draws left, a silent witness to a place that has lost nearly everything else. From family stop to empty shell, Primm was built for families, a quick stop between California and Las Vegas where parents could fill up on gas, grab a burger, and let the kids scream on the Desperado coaster. In the 1990s and early 2000s, the outlet mall added another layer of excitement, making the town feel like a mini theme park in the desert. Weekend travelers from Los Angeles would pile in, bags in hand, and spend a few hours before hitting the highway again. Now, those same highways are quiet. Families no longer pull off for a quick thrill. Gas stations hum only with truckers' engines, and the Desperado sits still in the blazing sun. The laughter and chaos that once marked a generation's childhood memories have faded, leaving only echoes in the empty streets and parking lots. The hallways of silence. Step inside any of Primm's deserted casinos, and the silence hits immediately. The carpets are faded and threadbare, dust thick in corners where slot machines once clinked constantly. Faint music drifts from speakers long disconnected, a ghostly echo of happier days. Signs point toward buffets, arcade rooms, and rides, but the doors behind them are locked, the lights off. Walk the long hallways, and it feels like the buildings are holding their breath, waiting for crowds that will never return. Urban explorers post photos online, showing endless corridors lined with old neon, peeling wallpaper, and forgotten chairs. Each hallway is a time capsule preserving the feel of early 2000s Vegas architecture, frozen in a moment when excitement still mattered. Affinity Gaming's big bet. After years of decline, all three Primm casinos ended up under Affinity Gaming's control. The company announced a plan called Primm 2.0, promising a full revival. Modernized casino floors, new restaurants, and a better truck stop for travelers. They even estimated a $10 million investment, starting with small renovations to Primm Valley Resort, the only casino still operating full-time. But for locals, hope comes with a layer of skepticism. Similar promises had been made before, and most of the visible changes are limited to the one active property. The other two, including Buffalo Bill's and Whiskey Pete's, remain mostly untouched. Despite the plans, the town still feels like it's holding its breath, waiting to see if any of the revival will actually reach the empty halls and fading neon. The $4 million marquee gamble. The first visible step of Primm 2.0 came in the form of a $4 million LED marquee, towering above I-15 like a neon beacon. Built to catch the eyes of highway travelers, it flashes messages about concerts, outlet sales, and events that barely happen anymore. From miles away, it's brighter than any of the casinos it's meant to promote, a glaring contrast against the quiet desert around it. For some, the sign is a hopeful signal that Primm might find life again. For others, it's a symbol of denial, a flashy promise over a town that's mostly empty. Trucks still rumble past, drivers glance briefly at the glowing display, and then keep going. The marquee shines, but the crowds that should follow it never come. The airport that might save everything. Beyond the blinking marquee, some hope still rides on a bigger idea, the Ivanpah Valley Airport. Planned just outside Primm, the project aims to ease congestion at Las Vegas's Harry Reid Airport and funnel tourists straight into the desert town. In theory, it could revive the casinos, hotels, and even the outlet mall by bringing in travelers who might stop for a night before heading north. The problem is that it's all still on paper. Approval, funding, and construction could take until the late 2030s. Locals talk about it as the last shot for Primm, the one thing that might finally pull the town out of its slow-motion decline. Until then, the desert remains quiet, and the casinos wait. The locals who never left. Even as the town slowly emptied, some faces never disappeared. Longtime locals, many who've lived near Primm since the 1990s, still walk its quiet streets. They've seen the glory days, packed hotel lobbies, buzzing slot machines, and long lines at the outlets, and the slow decline that followed. Now, most of them work part-time, patching up broken fixtures, maintaining carpets, or running the handful of events that still happen. For these employees, Primm isn't just a job, it's home. Their loyalty is what keeps the lights flickering, the air conditioning humming, and the few operating doors unlocked. Without them, the town would feel even more lifeless. Yet even they wonder how long their efforts can hold back the desert silence before something unexpected happens next. The corporate quiet. Behind the flickering slot lights and the occasional concert, Primm has another layer of quiet, the corporate kind. Affinity Gaming, which owns all three casinos, rarely speaks publicly about what's next. Press releases are sparse, updates vague, and interviews with executives almost non-existent. Locals and former employees whisper theories. Maybe the company is waiting for land values to rise, or maybe they're keeping the casinos just barely alive to sell them later. Whatever the reason, the silence is deafening, giving rise to online speculation, urban legends, and desert gossip. Officially, everything is under review, but the town feels like it's in a holding pattern, a pause that stretches for years. Behind those walls, the real decisions, and perhaps the fate of Primm itself, remain hidden. The economic dead zone. Primm's decline isn't just about empty casinos, it's about the whole economy drying up. Without traffic from Los Angeles or passing bus tours, restaurants, gas stations, and souvenir shops can't survive. Even the truckers who once fueled the town's last pockets of life now stop closer to Las Vegas, leaving the streets eerily quiet. Real estate sits at rock-bottom prices, but few buyers are interested. The outlet parking lots, once packed with weekend shoppers, now gather tumbleweeds, swirling across cracked asphalt under the desert sun. A town built entirely around tourism finds itself without tourists. Every empty lot and shuttered shop is a reminder that Primm's infrastructure, once vibrant, has become a ghostly economic dead zone. And yet, some signs hint that a shift might still be on the horizon. The desert keeps taking back. Beyond the empty streets and shuttered stores, the desert itself seems to be reclaiming Primm. Sand drifts pile against casino doors, curling under faded signs that peel under years of relentless sun. Birds have nested in the cracks of neon letters, and the occasional lizard scurries across hot, blistering asphalt. The roads, baked by summer heat, crack and warp, needing constant repair just to remain passable. It's a slow, quiet takeover. Where people once packed hotels and outlets, wind and sun now carve the town into something unrecognizable. Nature, patient and persistent, erases what neon and ambition built. Primm's decline isn't just economic or corporate, it's physical, a reminder that the desert always has the final say. And just beyond, one final piece of the story waits. The ghost of a dream. If the desert taking back Primm feels slow, the final truth hits like a shock. The town is now a ghost of a dream. Once, drivers saw the first flicker of neon as a promise, a gateway into the excitement of Las Vegas. Families stopped for gas, gamblers tried their luck, and the outlets and rides gave everyone a taste of the Strip without leaving the highway. Primm was alive, loud, and a symbol of opportunity at the edge of the desert. Now, it's a quiet ruin. The glowing marquee flashes ads for events that never happen, as if the town itself is pretending to be alive. Roller coasters and casinos sit frozen in sun-bleached silence. Sand drifts against cracked asphalt, and the few remaining locals keep doors open out of loyalty more than necessity. Primm didn't fail because of luck or bad ideas. The dream simply moved 35 miles north to Vegas, leaving the desert to claim its echo. The question lingers, can this town ever awaken again, or will it live only in memory? Primm was never Vegas. It was the promise before Vegas, a spark of excitement at the edge of the desert. Now, the rides are still, the lights flicker, and sand drifts where crowds once laughed. Walking its empty streets, you feel nostalgia and decay side by side, a reminder of how quickly places can change. If you ever stopped in Primm, tell me what you remember in the comment. As always, like and subscribe, because next, we're heading even deeper into the forgotten casino towns beyond the neon.